Clara did not sleep that night. The document remained on the table in front of her. Her eyes kept returning to the same sentence. Philip Carter is the biological father of Clara Hayes. For 24 years, she had lived without knowing her father. For 24 years, she had accepted her mother's version of the story. He left. He abandoned them. He disappeared. That was all she knew. Yet now questions filled her mind. Questions she could no longer ignore. The next morning, Clara drove straight to Monica's penthouse. Monica immediately noticed something was wrong. Clara, her daughter, placed the document on the table. Monica's face lost all color. The room became silent, a silence so heavy it felt impossible to breathe. "Why?" Clara asked quietly. Monica looked away. "Clara, why didn't you tell me everything?" Tears immediately formed in Monica's eyes, because she knew this day would eventually come. She had just hoped it would never arrive. "You were too young." "No." Clara shook her head. "I was your daughter." The words hit Monica harder than any accusation. For several moments, neither spoke. Then Monica finally sat down, exhausted, defeated, broken. And for the first time in 24 years, she told the complete story. The pregnancy, the fear, the abandonment, the loneliness, the heartbreak, the years she spent raising Clara alone, everything. When she finished, tears covered her face. "I hated him." Her voice cracked. "I hated him for leaving." Clara sat quietly, listening, understanding, feeling her mother's pain, yet something still didn't feel complete. "Did he ever explain?" Monica laughed bitterly. "Explain? No. He vanished. He chose to leave." Then Clara asked a question Monica wasn't prepared for. "What if he didn't?" Monica froze. For the first time, doubt entered her mind. A doubt she had never allowed herself to consider. What if there was more to the story? That evening, Clara made a decision. She found Philip's number. Then she called. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, then a trembling voice answered. "Hello?" Clara swallowed hard. Her heart pounded. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Then finally, she whispered, "My name is Clara."
My name is
Silence.
Clara.
Absolute silence. Then came the sound of a grown man crying. Philip couldn't stop crying. For years, he had imagined this moment, thousands of times, in his dreams, in his prayers, in his regrets. But now that it was real, words failed him. "You know who I am?" Clara asked softly. Philip laughed through his tears. "I've known every day of your life." Clara's eyes widened. "What?" "I followed your career. I followed your achievements. I watched every success from a distance. More tears, more pain, more regret. I never stopped loving you." The confession stunned Clara. For several seconds, she couldn't speak. Then came the question that mattered most. "If you loved us," her voice broke, "why did you leave?" On the other side of the line, Philip closed his eyes. The answer had haunted him for decades. "I was afraid." Clara listened carefully. "I was poor. I was young. I knew the law. If I stayed, your mother's family would destroy me." He took a shaky breath. "I believed I would go to prison. I believed I would ruin her future. I thought leaving was protecting her." Clara remained silent, because she could hear the pain in his voice, the guilt, the shame, the regret. Philip continued. "Every year I wanted to return. Every year I almost did. So why didn't you?" His answer shattered her heart, because every year it became harder. The silence that followed felt endless. Finally, Philip whispered, "Tell your mother I'm sorry." Clara wiped tears from her eyes. "No." Philip sounded confused. "No? You tell her yourself." The meeting was arranged 3 days later. A private garden, neutral ground, no lawyers, no reporters, no audience, just truth. When Monica arrived, she saw him immediately. Philip, older, gray-haired, worn by time, yet unmistakably Philip. For a moment, neither moved. 24 years disappeared. The memories returned. The good ones, the painful ones, the beautiful ones, the terrible ones, everything. Finally, Philip stepped forward. Tears filled his eyes. "Monica." Her name cracked in his throat. Monica's heart trembled. For years, she had imagined this reunion. In some versions, she screamed. In others, she walked away. Sometimes she slapped him. Sometimes she ignored him completely. But now that the moment had arrived, she simply stood there, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to hate. Philip looked down, ashamed. "I was a coward." The words came immediately. No excuses, no defenses, no lies, just truth. "I failed you." Tears rolled down Monica's face. "I know, I failed our daughter. More tears, I know." Philip's voice broke completely. Not one day passed without regret. Monica looked at him, really looked at him, and suddenly she saw something she had never expected. Punishment. Life had already punished him. The years had punished him. Loneliness had punished him. Regret had punished him. The young man who ran away no longer existed. Only a broken man remained. A man carrying 24 years of guilt. Then Philip reached into his jacket. He removed a small box. Monica's eyes widened. Inside was a ring. The same ring he intended to give her 24 years ago. The ring he never had the courage to offer. His hands trembled. His voice trembled. His entire body trembled. But he asked anyway. Monica, a tear slid down his cheek. I know I don't deserve a second chance. Another tear followed. But if your heart has even the smallest space left for me. He opened the box completely. Will you marry me? The world seemed to stop. Clara stood nearby crying. Marcus stood beside her. Even he was wiping tears from his eyes. Monica stared at the ring. Then at Philip. Then back at the ring. 24 years of pain battled 24 years of love. The answer would determine everything. Monica closed her eyes. For years she had blamed men for every wound in her life. Her father, Philip. Every painful memory. Every heartbreak. Every disappointment. She had carried that burden so long it became part of her identity. Then she thought about Clara, her daughter. The daughter she had raised to fear love. The daughter who found happiness with Marcus anyway. The daughter who had proven something important. Not all men were the same. Marcus wasn't her father. Marcus wasn't Philip. And Philip wasn't her father either. People were individuals. Not categories, not assumptions, not old wounds. For the first time in decades, Monica understood. She had spent years punishing herself for the sins of others. Slowly she opened her eyes. Then she stepped toward Philip. The garden became completely silent. Everyone held their breath. Monica smiled through her tears, a real smile, the kind she hadn't worn since she was 17. Then she whispered yes. Philip broke down immediately. The years, the regret, the loneliness, everything collapsed at once. He pulled her into his arms, and Monica finally stopped running from love. 1 year later, the family gathered together at a beautiful countryside estate. Laughter filled the air. Children played across the gardens. Music drifted through the afternoon breeze. Clara and Marcus sat together beneath a tree, hand in hand, watching the celebration. Nearby, Monica and Philip welcomed guests. Neither could stop smiling. For the first time in decades, the family felt whole. Not perfect, but whole. As the sun slowly began to set, Clara looked at her mother. Do you ever think about Grandma? Monica smiled softly. Every day. What do you think she'd say if she could see us now? Monica looked around at Philip, at Marcus, at the family she thought she would never have. Then she looked toward the golden horizon. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were tears of happiness, and she smiled. She'd say it's finally over. The pain, the hatred, the fear, the cycle that began with violence decades ago had finally ended. Not because someone forgot, not because someone erased the past, but because someone chose forgiveness. And forgiveness accomplished what anger never could. It healed. Final message: sometimes the greatest inheritance a parent gives a child is not money. It is healing, because pain can travel through generations. Fear can travel through generations. Hatred can travel through generations. But so can love. And when one person finds the courage to forgive, an entire family's future can change forever. The end.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and put down your thoughts in the comments. From Epic Stories TV, we love you.